Hi everyone, this is Tanya from Flying Dog Studio. Thank you for joining me. In this video, we're going to take a look at watercolor on a budget. So if you are starting out and you're wanting to learn watercolor, these are the things that I recommend. Now, I do use this pen. I've had it for quite some time. It'll probably run you about 12 bucks if you buy it. It's mechanical pencil. You do not have to use a mechanical pencil, but I did want to show you the difference in leads with these. This is a 0.9. And I use this if I'm using a bigger piece of paper. This is one that was actually my husband's from college, and it is a 0.5. And he said, here, use this one, because I've been doing some smaller pieces and I like a smaller lead. As far as lead goes, I would try to use an HB. Now that's kind of in the middle. It's not too hard and it's not too soft. If you were Baby Bear, it would be just right. So I would choose an HB lead, but it can just be a regular pencil. Now this is not necessary to have if you are doing watercolor, but you will see me using these. These are my micron pens, and I use these to trace over my pencil lines. Some people do not like doing that, and sometimes I do not do that with my pieces, but I've been doing some botanical studies, and so I am tracing over with these particular pens, and I'm using a light gray and a dark gray. There's not a big difference between them, but I do not use black. Stay away from black. That just kind of takes everything over. And the size of those were a 0.1. Now, to erase any pencil marks, any stray marks, or my helper lines, I use a white eraser. This was one that I had left over when I closed my teaching studio. You can use any brand you like. I think that came in a pack. Now these I highly recommend for beginning students. I use these with my students. These are Winsor and Newton. This is the travel, the pocket travel, and you see you get 12 colors there. The top is the mixing tray, and you also get a tiny brush that goes with it, a little travel brush. These are synthetic brushes. I do prefer more natural brushes, or some of the synthetic brushes they have now, they have really progressed where they hold a lot more water. That particular little brush that comes with it, not going to do much for you. The paper I have here is Grumbacher, and again, this was left over from my studio. This is exactly what I use with students. This is a 9x12 pad, 140-pound paper. Now you can see I have some here with a deckled edge. It actually comes with a smooth edge. I created this deckled edge, and I do have a video that shows how you can do that if you liked that rough deckled edge. You can see one side is smooth and one side is rough. This is cold pressed paper, and you're going to want to use that rough side. Again, not my favorite paper, but it is more affordable, and if you're going to try watercolor, you want to get something that's going to work for you and give you some good results so you'll know whether or not you enjoy watercolor. So I do recommend a 140-pound paper. Now let's take a look at the brushes. This roll that I have it in, kind of like a little bamboo type roll, I had a professor in college that recommended that we keep our brushes in something like this so they can drain properly and it protects the bristles. He recommended going to the home goods part of a store and just buying placemats. That way you can have, several of them that you can buy together. This one was actually made for brushes. Now these are the brushes that you will see me using. These four, I think there are four, no, five. These five came in a set. They are by, I believe I got these at Michael's. They are Royal and Langnickel. You can find them probably on Amazon, I'm sure, or Hobby Lobby. These bristles, and that's the water thing that I use. When you first get them, they're going to have a sizing in them, and you're going to want to, the bristles are going to be stiff. You're going to want to soak them in that sizing or glue that keeps them safe when they're being shipped will just come right out. Now I have the round brush that you saw there, or flat oval brush, that I use quite a bit if I'm going to lay down a bunch of color. Next was the flat brush. This one has synthetic bristles, and that is a scrubber brush. And then I have the two smaller round brushes. The larger one is an 8 and the smaller one is a 2. That one is my favorite brush. I love the size 8 because you can hold it on its tip and do the same thing you can do with this small brush. And all of these brushes, except for the one that has the white tips, are the natural bristles, so they hold more water. And that's what you want with a watercolor brush. Now this one is, I believe this one is also a Winsor & Newton, and this is a mop brush. I use this if I'm doing wet on wet so that I can keep only clear water in that, and then I use this brush for the color. So the mop brush I use only to put just clear water down, and then I use the natural brushes, the larger natural brush, to put the color down on top of the water. Now this, I always have two of these, one with water to rinse my brush, rinse the color out, and then another one that has clear water so that I don't mix those colors together in my palette. Now this is just a tiny, I believe it's also a Royal and Langnickel, and same size as that small one, but you can see the difference in the bristles. The top one has the dark bristles, and those are the natural bristles, so they hold more water, and the bottom one has the synthetic bristles, and just like that one. And that brush right there does not hold a lot of water. So if you're going to want to do fine detail and use more paint and water, you'll want to use that one. But now the mop brush that I mentioned earlier, even though it is synthetic, it's one of those that's better made, and so it holds a lot of water. Now I also have a liner brush. This I used with students, and you can probably see it's frayed. It has little hairs out all the way around. That's okay. I never throw brushes away. When you get that wet, you can actually use your fingers, pull it between your fingers, and pull those bristles back together. I might use something like this if I had something very tiny I needed to do. So I hang on to it, but it's not a brush you have to have. Mainly, I recommend that Royal and Langnickel that I showed you at the beginning, those 5 brushes. And those brushes are about $8 to $10 depending on where you buy those. And again, I'll have these listed and linked in the description below. So those are my brushes, and you have seen the pens and pencils that I use. And again, you do not have to use mechanical pencils, just a regular pencil, as long as it's an HB, will work. If you have any questions about the paints, if you have any questions about any of these supplies, please leave those below, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to like this video and to subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be doing a lot of fun things on here. Thanks so much for watching.